This is the second part of the 9th chapter of Awake Bride. This presentation will continue Israel's ancient past, then jump to its recent past. Cyrus was the higher ram's horn of Persia who conquered the Babylonians. Isaiah 45, 1-6. Thus said the Lord to his anointed, to Cyrus, whose right hand I have held, to subdue nations before him, that you may know that I, the Lord, which call you by your name, am the God of Israel. For Jacob my servant's sake, and Israel my elect, I have even called you by your name. I have surnamed you, though you have not known me. I am the Lord, and there is none else. There is no God beside me. I girded you, though you have not known me, that they may know from the rising of the sun and from the west, that there is none beside me. I am the Lord, and there is none else. Isaiah 44:28. That said of Cyrus, he is my shepherd, and shall perform all my pleasure, even saying to Jerusalem, you shall be built, and to the temple, your foundation shall be laid. 150 years before Cyrus was born, Isaiah prophesied about this king named Cyrus, who would say Jerusalem should be built and the temple's foundation laid. The Jews showed him these scriptures, and he responded immediately with the following decree. Ezra 1:2-4. Thus said Cyrus, king of Persia, the Lord God of heaven has given me all the kingdoms of the earth, and he has charged me to build him a house at Jerusalem, which is in Judah. Who is there among you of all his people? His God be with him, and let him go up to Jerusalem, which is in Judah, and build the house of the Lord God of Israel. He is the God which is in Jerusalem. And whoever remains in any place where he sojourns, let the men of his place help him with silver, and with gold, and with goods, and with beasts, beside the freewill offering for the house of God that is in Jerusalem. The first group of exiles returned under the decree of Cyrus, but the work soon stopped due to opposition. The work resumed under the decree of Darius I. The second and third groups returned under the decree of Artaxerxes. Daniel 8:5-8. And as I was considering, behold, a he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth, and touched not the ground. And the goat had a notable horn between his eyes. And he came to the ram that had 2 horns, which I had seen standing before the river, and ran to him in the fury of his power. And I saw him come close to the ram, and he was moved with choler against him, and smote the ram, and broke his 2 horns. And there was no power in the ram to stand before him. But he cast him down to the ground, and stamped on him. And there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand. Therefore the he-goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken, and for it came up 4 notable ones toward the 4 winds of heaven. Daniel 8:13-14. Then I heard one saint speaking, and another saint said unto that certain saint which spoke, How long shall be the vision concerning the daily sacrifice, and the transgression of desolation, to give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden under foot? And he said unto me, Unto 2,300 days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed. Daniel 8:19. And he said, Behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last end of the indignation, for at the time appointed the end shall be. In the early 1900s, the League of Nations began to consider territory for the Jews to settle. In 1948, Israel became a nation again. Then in 1967, Israel recaptured Jerusalem during the 6-Day War. Psalm 83, 4-8. They have said, Come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against you, the tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites, of Moab and the Hagarenes, Gebal and Ammon and Amalek, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Asshur also is joined with them. They have helped the children of Lot. Selah. According to most scholars, this particular group of tribes never attacked Israel in its ancient past. The first verses echo the sentiment of many Muslim countries today. This Muslim Confederation of Nations attacked Israel in 1967, and God shamed them. The people groups are either on or next to Israel's current borders, except for the Hagarenes, Ishmaelites, and Asshur, but they sent arms and money. The main aggressors were Egypt, Jordan, and Syria, but the following nations contributed troops and arms: Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Sudan, Tunisia, Morocco, and Algeria. From Israel's website. The June 1967 war was a watershed event in the history of Israel and the Middle East. After only 6 days of fighting, Israel had radically altered the political map of the region. By June 13th, Israel forces had captured the Golan Heights from Syria, Sinai and the Gaza Strip from Egypt, and all of Jerusalem and the West Bank from Jordan. In Israel, the ease of the victory, the expansion of the state's territory, and the reuniting of Jerusalem, the holiest place in Judaism, permanently altered political discourse. In that 1967 Six-Day War, Israel took back control of the Temple Mount. Under Russian threat, Israel returned the Temple Mount to Muslim authorities. This important occurrence and date is pivotal to fulfillment of prophecy, as we will see in the chapter on abominations. Theodor Herzl wrote a book, The Jewish State, in the 1800s and promoted the concept of Zionism. The plight of the Russian Jews immigrating to America touched the hearts of Christians like D.L. Moody and William E. Blackstone, who held a conference and wrote a petition to restore Palestine to the Jews. It read in part, "Why shall not the powers which under the Treaty of Berlin in 1878 gave Bulgaria to the Bulgarians and Servia to the Servians, now give Palestine back to the Jews? These provinces, as well as Romania, Montenegro, and Greece, were wrested from the Turks and given to their natural owners. Does not Palestine as rightfully belong to the Jews?" The Hebrew word aliyah means ascent and refers to the return of the Jews to their land. The first and second aliyahs were mostly Jews from Russia, since the bear was devouring much flesh. In exchange for Arab recognition of Israel, the Allied powers also agreed to the eventual sovereignty of almost 20 Arab states that would emerge out of the remnants of the old Turkish Ottoman Empire. In 1922, the British reduced the land promised to the Jews and used the Jordan River as Palestine's new border. Israelis were called Palestinians then. And they made the Transjordan an Arab state, the original two-state solution. Isaiah 66:8. Who has heard such a thing? Who has seen such things? Shall the earth be made to bring forth in one day? Or shall a nation be born at once? For as soon as Zion travailed, she brought forth her children. The third aliyah was mostly Jews from Russia, the fourth mostly from Poland and Hungary. The League of Nations made Palestine a British mandate in 1922. The fifth aliyah of the 1930s brought over 250,000 Jews from Germany. Then the British made it illegal for the Jews to immigrate as a concession to Germany, but still many came. From 1940 through 1944, Aliyah Bet secretly brought in Jews during World War II. By the end of World War II, Jews accounted for 33% of the population of Palestine. In just 22 years, Jews had tripled their population in Palestine. Daniel 7:7. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly. And it had great iron teeth. It devoured and broke in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. Daniel 7 describes the kingdoms which persecute the Jews prior to Jesus' second coming. Whereas the first three beasts persecuted the Jews within their own borders for the most part, the fourth beast is determined to exterminate them completely. The British Mandate ended at midnight on May 14, 1948, which was actually Shavuot Pentecost of the Jewish year 5708, using the biblical calendar instead of the one created by Hillel. Ezekiel 39:25. Therefore thus said the Lord God, Now will I bring again the captivity of Jacob, and have mercy on the whole house of Israel, and will be jealous for my holy name. When I have brought them again from the people, and gathered them out of their enemies' lands, and am sanctified in them in the sight of many nations, then shall they know that I am the Lord their God, which caused them to be led into captivity among the heathen, but I have gathered them to their own land, and have left none of them any more there. My thanks to Jonathan Burness for the information of the location of lost tribes. His group and many others have helped tens, hundreds, and thousands return to Israel.